Although the pole vault seems to be an immensely complex event, it is very easy to teach. With a sandpit, any sort of stiff pole, we can begin to learn the fundamental elements of pole vaulting. Here we've got Patrick Jesser showing us the takeoff. Strong driving extension of the takeoff leg, hands driven high, right knee thigh punched up, riding through into the sand. Now we see Lauren off 2 steps, repeating the same technical elements. Strong body, full extension of the leg, staying behind the pole. Now beginners can do these things. It's very important to realize these activities are not restricted to super athletes. Any young athlete can repeat these exercises, but it's important they do them right, that they hit the pole with a solid body, because that's going to be critical when they move to longer poles and when they need to learn to bend the pole. What we see here is young athletes staying behind the pole, staying behind the pole, staying behind the pole, and then riding it through into the sand. See the same thing with Patrick, staying behind the pole. Again, staying behind the pole. Strong extension off the ground, right knee punched, full extension of the left leg. See the same drill from behind, and we again will see a solid body, a solid body. Note that we start with the pole over the shoulder to make it easier for youngsters to begin this exercise. We don't want to have to bother them with the plant at this point in their development. Young boys want to jump over bars, so we take them, same exercise, pole carried over the shoulder, plant in the box, swing up over a bar. And in the first session, let them try for a PR. We have to get these young people hooked on the notion that the pole vault is an enjoyable event. And the way we do that is get them competing against themselves. Although we encourage youngsters to compete against themselves, if they're ambitious, they must be prepared to repeat these simple exercises literally hundreds of times. This is the only way they will ever become effective pole vaulters. Learning to drive the hands high, finish the takeoff, stay behind the pole, and keep the pole moving. Now we come to the plant. This is the next technical element that young athletes must master. We teach a 3-step plant. It's simple. The left hand is kept high and the right arm is rolled up the side of the body and the hands punched up to take the pole as high as we can get it. Now we see Patrick Jesser repeating the same exercise, but Patrick is starting with the pole a little bit too high. Should be about head high now as he begins. Finishes the takeoff with a complete extension of the whole body right down to the toe tip. Solid body. This is the point at which the energy of the run-up is transmitted into the pole. And the athlete must master this element of technique if they are going to progress. Now we see the 3-3 plant. 3 walking steps into a plant, 1, 2, 3. 3 walking steps and then 3 running steps. Again, finishing the takeoff with a full extension of the takeoff leg and the pole punched high. Later in this DVD, you will see Yelena Isinbayeva executing exactly the same exercise. Now we take the 6-step plant and apply it to a takeoff on the pad. We can do it in the sandpit, but most youngsters prefer to begin to working on the pad. Strong extension off the ground, staying behind the pole. We say that again and again and again. In this jump, she's moved her grip up slightly and she almost stalls. But that's what you must be trying to do. You must be continually trying to drive your grip higher. This indicates that your takeoff is improving. Full extension of the body, ankle, finishing the takeoff, right arm high, and staying behind the pole as she drives it forwards. Indeed, how high an athlete can grip from a 6-step run-up and still land on the pad is a very good indication of the efficiency of their takeoff. Now, every young athlete wants to bend the pole. It's almost a rite of passage. If you can bend the pole, you're a real pole vaulter. Here we see Lauren Ely driving in, and with a free takeoff still managing to bend the pole. Seen this earlier, but it bears repeating, because she's managed to bend the pole by staying behind it. That is the key, getting the hands high and staying behind it. Now we see her off 6 steps doing exactly that. Planting with high hands, staying behind the pole, it is very easy for the athlete to initiate the bend in the pole. And that's what we're saying here, initiate the bend, because the bend is the result of a number of other factors which we'll look at now. For example, this action, this kicking, whipping action, can put enormous energy into the pole and therefore help make the pole bend even more. Now we see a young athlete, Wendy, swinging on a pole, and we'll see her in a minute getting into the chord of the pole. There she is. She's on the chord of the pole. Now I want you to look and see how closely that resembles the position she is in an actual vault. It's virtually identical. So as she swings like that, and you'll see the energy, and you'll see the bar moving as she puts that energy into the movement. This is another simple exercise which almost any young athlete can do. And in fact, any ambitious athlete must have access to a high bar. So they can do this and other exercises. But this is the most critical. Learning to swing, drive the hips in, and then whip the leg. It's the hips in, drive the leg. Jumping from a platform, as shown here, eliminates the need for the run-up and the plant, and it gives the athlete a chance to concentrate on the critical elements that we've been addressing so far. High hands, staying behind the pole, and just simply riding it through to land on the pad. It will help young athletes get a feeling for this movement without all of the other problems they might face in the run and plant. We now have Lauren demonstrating what we call long swings, and we move on very quickly to an activity where they run from 6 steps, swing and turn. Youngsters love this activity and will spend hours working on it. Here we see the basic elements of the takeoff that we continually restate as she works on that simple little drill. Now she's running from 8 steps and jumping over a bar and simply building in all of the elements of technique that we've talked about. High hands, right knee driving, full extension from the left leg, swing to the chord and over the bar. So our process is one where we simply try to do simple things extraordinarily well. There are literally thousands of drills you can use to develop pole vaulters. What we've had to do in Adelaide is to be very tight in our selection because we never have much time. So the drills we use are those which we believe have the most direct transfer to the pole vault. We've indicated that one of the key elements of the Petrov-Bubka model is the free takeoff, where the pole is unloaded and therefore straight at the instant the athlete leaves the ground. We've called this a free takeoff, but if he's high enough in the air before the pole tip hits, we've labelled it a pre-jump. And you can see the pole is only now beginning to flex. Finishes the jump off, and this was the first ever 6-metre clearance in July of 1985. The question is, can young athletes learn to do this? Yes, they can. They can learn to do it. And we start with the simple drills that we taught them to vault with in the very first place, from 1 steps, 2 steps, and then as they begin to feel comfortable there, 4 steps, and then out onto the field, because it's very useful for the athlete to get this feeling of the contact with the ground. And here you see all of the elements we're looking for. High hands, high pole ground angle so it won't slip, full extension of the takeoff leg, and a punch of the free knee. See it again, now going from 4 steps, so we go from 2 steps, 4 steps, high pole ground angle to make sure that the pole will not slip, and a jump and a plant. It is jump and plant. It's quite astonishing how quickly young athletes can master this. And the important thing to realize is that even if they never actually pre-jump in a competition or even use a free takeoff, this drill will improve their takeoff. At the very least, it's virtually impossible to take off under if you use this drill on a consistent basis. High hands, complete extension of the takeoff leg, punching the right leg up, knee thigh, right arm strong, riding the pole through with the left leg kept as long as possible as he comes in to land. Now we're going to see a comparison between Mitch Fox, a 16-year-old boy, and the world record holder. The similarities are quite incredible in terms of what they're doing. And here we go again. Jump, plant, ride the pole through. Jump, plant, ride the pole through. And keeping the left leg behind the pole for as long as possible and bringing it through straight. This is the first time this boy had tried this drill. Now when we add the plant, it is better to go to the sandpit. The plant brings in other variables, and to make sure that you can feel very confident, it's better to use a plant and plant into the sandpit. But here we see an almost perfect pre-jump takeoff from a young lad who had only done this drill for about 1 hour. Jump, plant, ride the pole, all of the elements we're looking for, ride it into the pit. Now we've made the point that not every young athlete will be able to do this, but if they include it as part of their warm-up, as Mitch is here, continual little series of run and jump and plant down the field, and we do this on every training session as part of our warm-up, then we'll gradually begin to master this. But we'll certainly be able to improve all of the elements we're looking for. Full extension of the takeoff leg, right knee punched high, right arm strong, and a soft, disengaged left arm. Now we're seeing Wendy Young, 19 years of age, using a pre-jump. There's no question at all that she's in the air before she hits the pole. This was on a 4-meter-20 jump, and the following week she jumped 4 meters 40, which is an Olympic qualifying standard. So young athletes can begin to learn how to do this. Watch again. Nice plant, free takeoff, good swing, and up and over the bar.